reminder that you're still under oath.
Yes, thank you.
Attorney Frost?
Thank you. Mr. Duffy, did you read the Richard Mello expert report that was provided as an affidavit?
I read the report, yes.
And did you read the part where it said that no confidence votes are extremely subjective and can often be based on internal politics and popularity contests? Oh, I'm sorry, was there?
She's just grabbing her. Can I just ask, is this Exhibit 1 that you're referring to?
Yes, yes.
I know you haven't asked the witness about it, but
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to be able to look at it.
Do we need to stop?
Could I ask you to, please? Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. I'm not asking you to look at it right now, Manager Duffy. I'm just asking you a question about it. If we need to look at it, we will. Do you recall the section in it where it said that no confidence votes are extremely subjective and can often be based upon internal politics and popularity contests?
I don't. Where in the report is it?
So the answer is you don't remember, right?
From the report?
Yeah, we can look at it, but my first
I don't remember
question.
off the top of my head now.
So you don't have any recollection of that particular clause whatsoever?
Not at the moment, no. But I'm happy to look through it now if you want.
I'll show you where it is if we need to do that. Let me get it. The very last page of it. He actually didn't number his pages, but the last page. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
It says that in your letter, you relied on low confidence and low morale, right? Are we
Correct.
looking at the same page now?
Yes.
The last paragraph?
I see it, yes.
It says, in his letter supporting discipline against Chief Swanson, Mr. Duffy cites a vote of no confidence and low morale, right?
Yes.
And then going down into the paragraph, the next, after this one sentence and another sentence, no confidence votes are extremely subjective and can often be based on internal politics and popularity, right?
Yes.
It says they're extremely subjective. Do you agree with that?
I don't believe the subjective, no.
Pardon me?
In this case, no.
Okay, so you don't think that it could be, no confidence votes could be influenced by internal politics and popularity?
I think they could be.
But you've concluded that somehow they aren't in this case?
I don't believe so, no.
But you weren't allowed to ask any information about the nature and extent and the content of the no confidence votes, right?
No, but I had conversations with employees before, and then we had the Burgess report as well.
And that made you conclude that there was no chance that this could be subjective and based on internal politics and popularity?
Correct.
So it also says that low morale, the next sentence, similarly, morale is an extremely dynamic and subjective measure. Do you also disagree with that?
Not necessarily, no.
So you agree that that can be changing from day to day or month to month or week to week?
I think month to month, potentially. Yeah.
And are you aware that morale right now is very low in the Woodstock Police Department?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Aren't you monitoring the police department more carefully than you were when you said you weren't that attentive when Chief Swanson was there?
I just want to object. I understand that the trustees have overruled my objection regarding evidence that postdates the decision. I'm going to just state it again now, and I'd like to have a continuing objection to that, but I recognize the decision has been made, so I'll make my objection for the record.
Thank you. Objections noted for the record and questions allowed.
Thank you.
In my conversations with officers, no one has expressed low morale.
So, in terms of what's going on in the police station now, let me just ask you if you know some of the things. Are you, you said you're monitoring the police station?
No, that was not what I said in my
Oh, okay,
conversations with
I
them.
misunderstood. Yeah. Are you monitoring what's going on in the police station right now?
I am well aware of what's going on. I visit them at least once a week, and I talk to any employee I see when I'm over there.
Okay. Are you aware that there was a union vote that the dispatchers would walk out if Sergeant O'Keefe hired an employee for a certain, paid that employee a certain amount of money?
Side of the evidence that we've been provided and also completely irrelevant to the scope of this hearing. And it gets into concerted activity, which Mr. Duffy can't reasonably respond to without running afoul of labor law.
Counsel, what's the proffer on this?
It's about bias, different treatment for Chief Swanson and for all the other officers that are there right now. And certainly Sergeant O'Keefe, if this has been used against Chief Swanson, that his employees threatened to walk out, but when the same thing happens to Sergeant O'Keefe, there's nothing that happens?
We'll allow the question.
I didn't hear you say Sergeant O'Keefe. Did you say Sergeant O'Keefe in your memo that you just read?
I don't know, you can repeat the question.
Can you, I didn't hear you say Sergeant O'Keefe, I heard you say another. Can you read that back for me, please?
Sure,
No, she's gonna, no.
okay.
Question, are you aware that there was a union vote that the dispatchers would walk out if Sergeant O'Keefe hired an employee for paid that employee a certain amount of money?
Thank you, I didn't hear all that, thank you.
I'm unaware of a union vote, but what I will say is the dispatch supervisor let us know that she was upset about this potential hire. I met with her numerous times, and we have not hired that person due partly to those conversations with the dispatcher.
So your answer was you were not aware of a union vote that the dispatchers threatened to walk out if Sergeant O'Keefe hired this person.
No.
But in fact, you did not hire this person because you received complaints from some member of the union.
We met with the head dispatcher and talked to her about this potential hire and took her concerns in consideration.
And then you did not hire that person.
Correct.
Are you aware that that person, I assume we're talking about Beth Therian?
Yes.
Are you aware that she's not speaking to Sergeant O'Keefe currently?
I'm aware that there are ongoing issues there, yes.
Have you done any investigation into Sergeant O'Keefe if all the dispatchers were, or if the head dispatcher is concerned about his performance?
I had a conversation with her last week, and I'm meeting with her this coming week.
You had a conversation with Sergeant O'Keefe about?
No, with Beth.
Right, did you do any discipline or take any action against
I have
Sergeant?
not had a chance to investigate yet. This conversation happened last week, and I told her I'd meet with her after this is over.
Are you gonna do any discipline for Sergeant O'Keefe if all his dispatchers are planning to walk out if he takes certain action?
So again, the action was not taken. To me, that's a null and void.
The action wasn't taken because you didn't hire the employee, correct?
Yes, based on conversations with the dispatcher.
So you let a union member dictate your hiring decisions at the Woodstock Police Department?
No, I said we took into consideration.
And you did not hire the person?
No.
Okay. Are you aware that there's actually currently a situation described as chaos in the department?
No.
Are you aware that there are several employees that have expressed unhappiness with Sergeant O'Keefe?
None to me. Besides the conversation with Beth last week.
And did you say you are aware that Beth is refusing to speak to Sergeant O'Keefe currently?
That's not my understanding of it.
Okay. And you haven't interviewed any of these employees about what was going on with Sergeant O'Keefe around the other employee that didn't get, the potential employee that didn't get hired?
So again, I met with the head dispatch supervisor about this issue, and we had a conversation about that.
Okay. But no discipline or any action is being taken against Sergeant O'Keefe, right?
For interviewing an employee, no.
For what?
For interviewing a potential employee, no. No decision was made.
You had originally, in the first hearing, told us that you were relying on some information that employees would quit if Chief Swanson was reinstated, correct?
Correct.
And just to be clear, in the 15 months that Chief Swanson held the position of chief, no employees quit the department, correct?
Our part-time dispatcher left. I'm not sure about any other part-timers, but no full-time officers, no.
And who was the part-time person that you're claiming left?
I want to say Haley. I believe she got a full-time job in Rutland.
Who?
I believe her first name was Haley. I could be incorrect on that. She left for, I believe, a full-time position in Rutland.
And when was that?
I do not recall when.
Somehow you don't recall when, but you think it was when Chief Swanson was chief?
Yes.
But you can't give us any information about the month?
I was unprepared for this conversation. I don't have the exact date of when she left.
So you don't know the month, the year, you don't even know for sure that it was under Chief Swanson, correct?
I'm 99% sure it was under Chief Swanson.
Okay. So, in fact, you commended Chief Swanson in the summer of 2024 for having a fully staffed force, correct?
I believe so.
And you wrote in his performance evaluation in June of 2024 that officers seemed happy and enjoyed working with Chief Swanson, correct?
This is exactly the first hearing and their working on it.
I believe so, yes.
And are you aware that since the last hearing, under Sergeant O'Keefe's direction, that several employees have in fact left?
Yes.
And let me get my notes here. Those were Owen Carlton, Elizabeth Turco, Carolyn Lord, Terry Pojak-Jasek, Lisa Linton, and Dental McIntyre. Those have all left since the last hearing, right?
You said Lisa Linton. I believe you mean Josh Linton.
Josh Linton, I'm sorry. Josh Linton, my mistake.
Yes, Owen Tarleton gave his notice, I believe, late March of 2025. Officer Turco gave a notice originally, I think, December this past year, then another one in January.
My only question was, 7 people quit. We don't need to know the details. Is
I
that
was
right?
making sure, I mean, I was aware of that, yes.
Okay. And out of those, and at the last hearing you testified about how it would look bad if people quit if Chief Swanson returned, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes.
And you concerned it would be bad for the department, it would be bad for the village, right?
Correct.
And you've not construed all of these people quitting under Sergeant O'Keefe's command as a bad look for the village or for Sergeant O'Keefe or detrimental to the village?
No, I'll say Tarleton left before the trustees made a decision after the hearing. He moved to Arkansas, which is a very reasonable thing to do.
I just asked you if you had. You did not construe all of these people quitting as a bad look for the
I'm
village.
giving you the context of why
I'm just
I did
asking a
not.
yes or no answer.
Okay. I did not, no.
You did not. And you did not hold it against Sergeant O'Keefe that 7 people left under his direction and leadership.
No.
Is that right? Okay. And Sergeant O'Keefe has been interim chief for about the same amount of time now that Chief Swanson held the position, right?
Yeah.
And after the last hearing, several employees wrote emails saying that they wanted to clarify that they would not, in fact, leave if Chief Swanson were reinstated, right?
I believe I saw 2 of them, yes.
You didn't see the exhibit with 5 of them?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I saw those 2, yeah.
Okay. So,
Sorry, I meant full-time employees, sorry.
okay. So you received that afterwards from those 5 saying that they weren't actually planning to quit, right?
It wasn't sent to me, it was forwarded to me at some point.
Okay. And now you also testified that you believed Sergeant O'Keefe was going to professionalize the force and provide the leadership that everybody wanted, right?
Yes, I believe the last 2 hires have maybe 45 years of experience in law enforcement in Vermont.
You said you go to the police department about once a week?
I'd say on average, sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, depending on my schedule and what's happening.
So when you went to the police station, did you see the fighting men picture that's in the exhibits?
I did not. My understanding was that was brought in to give away to someone.
So you don't know how long it was there?
I do not know.
You never saw it in any of your visits?
Not that I recall.
But you're claiming you're monitoring the police department more carefully now than you did, right?
Yes.
Now, right after Chief Swanson was put on administrative leave, you became involved in collecting information against him of potential misconduct, right?
I wouldn't characterize it as that, no. I had officers that reach out to talk to me about their concerns, and I met with them.
And meeting with them, what you collected information against Chief Swanson about potential misconduct that these employees were reporting, right?
Sure, yeah, you put it that way.
Employees came to you with alleged complaints that you're saying, right?
Yes,
And you took notes, right?
yes,
As part of what you were doing in terms of investigating Chief Swanson, right?
yes.
Okay. And you've never disclosed those notes, right?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. And Woodstock Police Department has an internal affairs policy, right? We've marked that as an exhibit.
Yes.
You've seen that. And you agree that one of the purposes of an internal affairs investigation is to protect employees against inaccurate allegations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes,
You yourself have no training to conduct an IA investigation, right?
and I did not.
So you heard complaints from employees, and then you took your own notes, and then you went through the police and personnel policies to determine potential policy violations, correct?
No.
Well,
I believe at that time I then reached out to VLCT for a third-party private investigator and went forward with hiring Burgess.
Well, before Mr. Burgess, had you done any research or any kind of investigation into whether any policies were breached?
I do not recall, but I do not believe so.
Did anybody else in your department do that? Did Sergeant O'Keefe?
We might have had informal conversations about some of the allegations. I can't recall.
Did Sergeant O'Keefe assist you in identifying police policies that might have been violated?
I do not believe so.
So you're saying Mr. Burgess is the one who came up with potential policy violations?
I believe so, yes.
Mr. Burgess never gave you any conclusion as that any of these policies were in fact violated, correct? He just gave you a report with his investigation.
Correct.
And then as a result of that report, you decided that policies had been violated.
Correct.
And you did this on your own.
Yes.
Not with Sergeant O'Keefe's help, just on your own.
Correct.
And you have no training in police protocol.
No, No, just 3 years experience as manager overseeing the police department.
Right. And somehow you came up with the idea that Chief Swanson's performance, that was just the facts that were listed. Do we need to take?
No, keep going.
The facts that were listed in your letter, the allegations of policy violations, you came up with those and decided that Chief Swanson had violated at least 6 policies, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then you had your lawyer send a letter to Chief Swanson's lawyer outlining those charges that you yourself had indicated were policy violations, right?
I'm just going to object. This question calls for attorney-client privilege communications. She asked what he did with respect to the lawyer, what he asked his lawyer to do or do not do, and I think that treads upon the attorney-client privilege.
Is there a way to ask the question that doesn't go to potentially attorney-client privilege issues?
I didn't understand that I was asking any client to attorney privilege information. All I asked was that you decided that Chief Swanson had violated 6 policies and wrote a letter,
Correct, with the assistance of counsel on the letter.
okay? But not a police consult, right?
I don't know, police, sorry, what?
Not a police expert consult, not a police chief, not Sergeant
No.
O'Keefe, just you. And I don't want to get into obviously any privileged communications, but we're not talking about you consulting with any law enforcement official.
No, but I'm sure counsel has a deep experience with this.
I'm not asking about that. I'm asking whether actually, let me ask it in a different way. No police official ever told you that Chief Swanson had violated policies.
No.
And were you aware that Chief Swanson was asking for and wanting to know whether the Vermont Council for Criminal Justice was notified or involved in the investigation?
I can't remember if that was brought to my attention, but like I said the last hearing, my conversations with the council was that it should remain confidential. And that's what I followed, that's the advice I followed.
That wasn't my question. It was whether you were aware that there was a request for it.
I don't recall.
Okay. And to this day, you've never obtained any kind of opinion from a police official that Chief Swanson violated any police policies.
No.
Okay. And yet, an affidavit that you received from Richard Mello, that's the first time you've ever seen any official chief or official law enforcement person comment on Chief Swanson's actions, right?
Yes.
And it sounds like you're totally disregarding that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, Mr. Burgess conducted interviews based on the areas that you outlined for him to investigate based on the original conversations with employees, right?
I believe the contract stated that he was to look into complaints that arose from conversations and any other complaints he found in the process of talking to employees.
Okay, but one of his instructions was to conduct interviews based on the information you had originally obtained from employees, right? About complaints.
I don't recall if that was the instructions or not. I'm pretty sure we gave him a pretty broad approach.
But Mr. Burgess only conducted interviews with those employees who wanted to come forward and complain about Chief Swanson, right?
Every employee was given the opportunity to speak to them. If they wanted to, they were not forced to.
The only people who were interviewed were the people who wanted to complain about Chief Swanson, right?
I can't speak for the motivations. What I'm saying is the people who spoke to him, the people who chose to speak to him.
So the only people who were interviewed were the ones who were willing to come forward with complaints about Chief Swanson.
I believe there are transcripts that people praised Chief Swanson in the Burgess report as well.
Where are those transcripts?
I think I think there was some that said, or maybe it was in a different.
Those were never released, were they?
I can represent, I believe Attorney Frost received copies of transcripts from the interviews that Mr. Burgess conducted prior to my involvement in this matter.
I can represent that I did not receive transcripts with any praise, that everything was redacted, and there was nothing that I saw that had any praise. If there were interviews about praising, they were not provided to me.
I haven't studied every single word of every PDF that has been provided to Attorney Frost, but if it's important, we can endeavor to provide to the trustees the complete package of interview transcripts that were provided to Attorney Frost. They concern matters that are outside the scope of the grounds for discipline, and they were redacted for that reason, as I understand it, again, prior to my involvement. So if that's an important concern, we can clear that up. But I don't have complete copies of all of them right here at my fingertips.
So I think the core issue is what is the question, and you asked the question about 3 times, and he answered it. I don't know if it was necessarily to your satisfaction, but I thought he answered the question.
Okay, we can just move on. So let me just ask, so you believe that transcripts have been provided that praise Chief Swanson?
I believe there's a statement in that someone spoke well of him.
Okay. But my original question was that the people who came forward to be interviewed by Bill Burgess were the ones who had complaints about him. I'm not asking whether there may also be some praise somewhere. I'm asking you that question, that the people who were interviewed, the staff, let me see if I can clarify this. The whole staff wasn't interviewed. People weren't asked objectively. Only the people that were interviewed were the ones who are willing to come forward.
The people who were interviewed were the people who were willing to speak to him. I can't speak for the motivations.
Okay.
But everyone was offered the opportunity to speak to him.
Okay. So there wasn't a department-wide investigation to ask everybody what they thought about Chief Swanson.
Everyone was given the opportunity to speak to him if they chose to. We did not compel anyone to speak to him.
They were asked to come forward if they had any concerns or complaints. They weren't asked to come forward to praise Chief Swanson, right?
They could have praised him if they wanted to in talking to Burgess.
But that wasn't my question. When they were asked to come forward, and I believe we have emails about this, they were asked to come forward if they had concerns or complaints, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So when you embarked on what you've described in the first hearing as the second track of the investigation, this was after Vermont Council sent you a letter saying that they had not found any professional misconduct at that point, right?
That letter referred to the October incident.
I didn't ask what it referred to. I just said after you received a letter from Vermont Council saying no professional misconduct, you decided to go onto a second track of investigation. Is that right?
I don't know if I served it as a second track investigation, but we had a lot of evidence to go through, yes.
Pardon me?
We had a lot of evidence available to us.
I asked you if you started the second track of investigation after you got that first BCJC, only BCJC letter. Is that right?
I don't know what you mean by second track investigation.
You told me you had a different track of investigation, didn't you? There was the first track, which was the BCJC, and then there was your second track, the alternate track.
If I said that, I might have misspoke. There was the October incident was sent to VCJC. The state police did an investigation into that incident. In that time period, we heard complaints. We did the Burgess investigation, and that became the main tool we used to make a decision based off of.
What became the tool?
The Burgess reports.
So are you telling me now that you didn't have a second track of investigation that was after, there was so much reference to this in the first hearing, that you were on a second track investigating Chief Swanson that had nothing to do with the VCJC?
Before you proceed with that question, the board is just wondering, what is a second track of investigation?
Well, that's a good question, but we have we have transcripts where he talked about being on, we have the whole hearing transcript here. I didn't think it was seriously in controversy. It's throughout we could take a break and I can find many references to a second track of investigation, an alternative track that he said he went down when VCJC did not find anything.
If I could make a proper, I believe that the distinction here is between the kind of the criminal, the VCJC, the standard the VCJC applies to make its findings versus kind of the employer standard or the HR standard or the policy standard or the standard we're here for today. That the VCJC had its own set of standards. Those were not the standards that Mr. Duffy was using. He was using employer-based standards on the body of law that we've been discussing today. Is that your?
The word
That's
second
my
track
understanding.
or alternate track was used extensively as to explain, I think, basically what you're saying, but that after the BCJC came back with its letter, yes, that Manager Duffy then embarked on what he originally called a second track, but we can call it whatever we want, but additional investigation. Are we clear on that?
Let me try. I mean, if I may. It sounds like you had first sort of an internal framework for issues that you were looking for when you commenced this investigation. Is that right?
Potentially, I think the confusion is, and this may be where somebody phrased it literally a year ago, was there was, I guess you want to use the word track, the submission to the VCGC for October incidents. And at the same time, we're also looking into a larger scope of everything. So that might be the second track we're talking about here.
Okay, I think that clarifies it.
Okay.
So you were personally investigating things on your own plan, your own, we can call it a track, we can call it whatever, but you were personally investigating things apart from the VCJC.
Correct.
Okay. And you were doing this exclusively by yourself, pouring through the whatever you needed to do to find these other allegations.
No, so we had Burgess was doing the investigation, so he was doing the majority of that, and then we were working with counsel as well.
Right, I'm just asking you, after the VCJC issued a letter, you continued to investigate whether there was some other basis for removing Chief Swanson.
I mean, I believe I received a letter from VCJC sometime in mid-February, and I think we submitted our final Lattimore letter to Swanson around the end of February.
And in order to do that final letter, you conducted an investigation that went beyond the facts that were listed in Mr. Burgess's report, correct?
Correct.
You went back and looked through transcripts of his interviews. It's one of the things you did, right?
We were doing due diligence, yes.
You went back through that to try to find additional possible bases to remove Chief Swanson.
We were gearing up for a final decision, so we wanted to review all the evidence. Correct.
Okay, and when you say we, at this point, after VCJC was done, after Burgess finished his report, when you say we, who are you talking about?
I was working with counsel.
You yourself and counsel, okay.
Yes.
So no law enforcement official, again, involved in any of this?
Correct.
Okay. And you considered yourself qualified somehow to conduct this second track or alternative investigation into what was proper conduct for a police chief under the policies?
I consider it per state statute that's someone's job to hire and terminate employees.
Right. I'm saying about your qualifications to conduct an investigation of that sort, to go through the transcripts, and you considered yourself qualified to do that?
I think I consider myself qualified to look at the results and make a determination on what is right.
Okay. You have no knowledge, training, or experiences in what the best practices would be for an investigation of that sort, correct?
No, again, that's why we hired a third-party investigator.
Well, he had already completed his investigation by this point and gave you his fact
Yeah.
findings, right?
Yes.
But you went beyond that to look at other things that he prepared so that you could find additional materials, right?
We used all the evidence that he was able to find for us.
But not the evidence in the report necessarily. You went beyond the report.
Yes.
Okay, and my question was, you have no knowledge or experience or training to go beyond what an investigator has given you, to take the interviews, to make your own conclusions about what policies were violated.
No.
No, you don't have any knowledge, training, or experience in that, or no, you're disagreeing with me?
Sorry, do you have the clerk repeat the question?
Pardon me?
Do you have
No, we can
you wanna do it?
work this out. I'm just asking you. My question was, and maybe I just misunderstood, you have no knowledge, training, or experience regarding best practices for the kind of investigation you did after Mr. Burgess finished his?
Correct.
Okay. And yet you still felt that somehow you were competent to conduct that?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of something called the Dunning-Kruger effect?
No.
It's a cognitive bias where people with limited knowledge or competence in an area greatly overestimate their own skill. Are you familiar with that?
To the relevance and that this is argumentative.
I do agree this is argumentative, and I don't see how it's relevant.
Okay, I can move on. In conducting this alternate what do you prefer we call it now, Manager Duffy? Do you prefer we call it the second track, alternative investigation? Do you have a name for it?
It's called doing my job.
So, doing your job involves investigating a chief beyond what the investigator that you've hired to do the job does.
This is testimony. He testified that he reviewed materials provided and collected by the investigator, not that he conducted an investigation on his own. He was reviewing the materials the investigator collated and provided to him.
Yep, sustained. Can you ask that question in a different
Yes,
way?
I will try to clarify. So, you had a report that had certain factual findings. You went beyond that report to make your own factual findings, based on the interviews, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that was my question. So you did that, and what do you want to call that process? Where you went beyond and made your own personal fact findings.
Like I said, I think doing my job for the municipality.
So your job involves going beyond what a hired investigator has given you for facts to find your own facts. That's what you consider your job.
No, I think we determined that he provided a report that we used, and he also provided more evidence that we looked through, and that's what I did.
And in conducting this investigation, into the other materials, you extensively relied on third-hand information that from employees and their personal opinions regarding Chief Swanson's performance, right?
I relied on what they told Burgess when they met with him.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of that was third-hand information, right? About hearing things from other employees or having a general sense of something going on.
Yeah.
Okay. And were you aware that allegations of that sort against a chief should be substantiated by facts and evidence?
I believe a few of them came to the hearing and did just that.
Are you saying you found evidence to support any of their allegations that you found in the interviews?
So like, did I found facts?
Yeah, did you find facts, objective evidence besides what they said? Right now, I understand you relied on what you read and said. Did you find any objective facts outside of the interviews?
I'm just going to object. Testimony is evidence, and Mr. Duffy previous testimony was that witnesses provided testimony that supported the facts that he found here before the fact finders.
Yes, that makes sense. And I think the witness can answer the question too.
So can I the question repeat to me, please?
May I interrupt here? I'm having a problem with, there's facial things going on with the trustees. There's all kinds of distractions that are happening here, and nothing is being done. People are scowling at me. People are shaking their heads, nodding at times. I don't know how you want to handle that, but it's very disruptive.
Okay, your objection is noted, and I'm sure that the trustees will endeavor to continue to appear neutral.
Thank you. You can read the question.
Question, did you find facts, objective evidence besides what they said? Right now, I understand you're relying on what you read and said. Did you find any objective evidence outside of the interviews?
I believe I found a few things. I don't recall what it all was, but I believe through emails and timesheets, I might have found a few different things.
Weren't those discovered in Mr. Burgess's report? Are you talking about the death investigation?
No, I'm talking about, emails shared with the spouse. I could collaborate that. I believe we looked at some of the Velcro reports, and it looked like he was not in the office sometimes. So there's some things we were able to do that we collaborate. Some things, you're correct, no.
Well, first of all, going with the emails, those had already been discovered by when Mr. Burgess did his report, right?
Yes, but I verified them, yes.
But they had already been discussed and put in his
Yes.
report. I'm asking you right now about things after that report, if you had verified anything that was not. And you mentioned some Valcor things. We never saw any Valcor records introduced into evidence. Did you somehow find something that you didn't introduce into evidence?
No, I'm saying I did a review on a few things. I didn't introduce all evidence.
You had evidence against him that you didn't introduce?
I'm not saying that. I reviewed Velcro reports.
All right, maybe we can make this a little easier. So you heard from coworkers that Chief Swanson was out of uniform at times, right?
Yes.
How many times was Chief Swanson out of full uniform in 15 months?
I don't know.
When was he out of uniform in 15 months?
I don't know.
For what reason was he out of uniform in 15 months?
I don't know.
Okay. You heard that coworkers said Chief Swanson obtained haircuts on work time, right?
Yes.
Okay. How many times did Chief Swanson obtain a haircut during work hours in 15 months?
We have evidence of at least 2, but that's all I'm aware of that I can verify.
Okay. That's it. You don't have any information other than that, and you only received that as a result of our production of evidence, right?
Correct. I also have numerous employees tell me they couldn't reach him or knew where he was during the days multiple times.
I'm asking for evidence now. I'm not asking for hearsay. I'm not asking for what you were told. I'm just asking right now for what you know in terms of evidence. Do you have any evidence other than what people say as to how many times Chief Swanson allegedly was not available during the workday?
No, I don't have a number now.
Do you have any evidence about when Chief Swanson was allegedly not available during the workday?
Not specific ones, no.
Do you have any evidence about what Chief Swanson was allegedly doing when he was, and I'm talking about evidence now, not just around what people say, any evidence about what he was doing after, when he was allegedly unavailable?
No, just what people told me.
Okay. Do you have any evidence about how many times Chief Swanson allegedly told dispatchers to sign him in early?
No.
No dispatch records to confirm that, right?
No, but I believe at the last hearing, Beth spoke that she told dispatch to stop doing that.
I'm not asking what people said, I'm asking what you actually have in terms of evidence.
Well, I have her testimony.
I'm not talking about testimony now.
Okay.
That's why I want to be clear. I'm talking not about what people said, not about gossip, not about things like that. I'm talking about what you actually have in terms of proving these allegations,
Okay.
other than testimony.
I'm gonna object that these questions are compound and argumentative. I understand giving a little bit of latitude for cross, but I think it's beyond the line for me.
I think I would just say, if the manager had evidence based on what somebody said to him, that is still evidence, and
I understand that. I'm not saying that, I understand he's relying on that. I'm asking anything in addition to what the testimony is. That's all I'm asking. If there's anything objective outside of what he heard. That's all I'm asking.
Can you answer that?
Yeah, I think I have, yeah.
Okay.
Can you answer the question?
as posed?
No.
Okay. One of your allegations was that Chief Swanson did not complete paperwork on time, right?
Yes.
And the only evidence you found of that was one incomplete death certificate for an unsuspicious death, right?
Yes, at the time, yes.
Okay. There was no evidence that you found to support any additional other incomplete paperwork, right?
There were the parking tickets that weren't completed.
I'm talking about paperwork.
He's answering the question. Let's hear from him.
Go ahead.
And at the time, no, I have found more since then, but I believe that was out of the scope of this hearing, so I didn't bring it up.
Have you said parking tickets, did you have evidence that somehow you didn't introduce the parking ticket issue against Chief Swanson, right?
Correct.
Okay. So whatever evidence you're referring to, you didn't feel rose to any level of misconduct, right?
No, but you asked me if I found
Okay.
evidence, so I
All right.
responded.
I should have been more clear. And you knew that you could submit any additional evidence at this hearing as long as it related to those original charges that you had against Chief Swanson, right?
Correct.
And you chose not to do that.
Correct.
Okay. And you did not look at your records to determine if when you put in your allegations against Chief Swanson that he failed to attend traffic court on the only occasion that he was scheduled to attend, you didn't look at any records to verify whether that was true, right?
Not at the time, no.
Okay. You claimed that Chief Swanson lacked empathy, right, for his employees?
Yes.
How many times did Chief Swanson show a lack of empathy for his subordinates in 15 months?
I think there was a few examples. There was Chris O'Keefe testified.
I'm not asking about testifying now. I'm saying how many times.
Answer the question.
Yeah. Let's hear from the witness.
All right.
The people had concerns about him, and according to Chris O'Keefe, Joe Swanson slapped on the table and used a curse word. There was the incident when the dispatchers were afraid someone was going to come and either drive the car into the building or shoot it up. I can't remember what it was. And Joe Swanson's response was not appropriate at that point. Another officer talked to me about just feeling a lack of leadership and training that was needed. So yes, those are a few examples.
So how many times in 15 months?
I just gave you three.
Three
I can think over
times.
the top of my head.
Okay, 3 times. And these were all based on reports from subordinates, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How many times in 15 months did Chief Swanson go to the gym in the day and make up the time later?
I don't know how many times he went to the gym. I also don't know if he made a time up later.
Okay, so you don't, the answer is you don't know.
Correct. But I think he has said that he thought it was okay to go to the gym during the day.
You went to the gym during the day at times too, right?
Yes.
In fact, you saw Chief Swanson at the gym at times when you went there.
I believe I saw him twice there, yes.
And you accepted Sergeant O'Keefe's allegation that Chief Swanson allowed him to quit some type of force training session early and signed off without the requisite hours, correct?
I believe that was said in the hearing.
Right, you
Yeah.
accepted that, correct?
It's not my position at the hearing to accept something. Chris O'Keefe testified in front of the trustees at the hearing about that.
Well, you used it against Chief Swanson, correct?
In the pre-hearing?
I'm asking, you used it against Chief Swanson that somehow Sergeant O'Keefe allowed Sergeant O'Keefe to sign out of force training.
I could be mistaken, but I believe that detail was brought up at the hearing and then found in the trustees' finding of facts.
Did you ever see any training record documentation?
No.
Did you ever ask for any documentation?
No, I assumed he was doing his job.
Did you ever ask Sergeant O'Keefe why he would be complicit in this falsehood if it actually occurred?
I did not know.
In one of your letters, and we can look at it if you don't remember, but in the January 10th, 2025 disciplinary letter, you said that Chief Swanson shared videos of an accident with his husband on multiple occasions. Do you recall that?
Yes.
That wasn't correct, right? You didn't have multiple occasions where you found any evidence of that.
I believe we based that off of, I believe there was an email or note from Joe Swanson saying that he had shared evidence with his spouse. And it alluded to them more than once. But we had evidence of that one time.
You never produced this email that allegedly said he shared more
I'm
than
not sure if it
once?
was an email or in a conversation we had with him. I can't remember what it was.
So when you wrote that he shared a video of an accident with his husband on multiple occasions, at that time, you only knew about one occasion with any certainty.
The proof that I had, yes.
But somehow you decided to add in that this was on multiple occasions.
So I believe that that's that information we received.
And you've never found multiple occasions. You've never produced any evidence of multiple occasions.
Not that I'm aware of, but in one of the affidavits we have today, it says that it was common practice for Chief Swanson to get legal counsel from his spouse.
You have no evidence that on any other occasion, other than the one that you have brought against him, that he has in fact done that, correct?
Beyond the affidavit today, no.
And you're claiming somehow the affidavit today says that he shared information, videos with his, it says shares videos of an accident with his husband on multiple occasions. It doesn't say just videos.
I also know that language might mean that there were multiple emails about that one incident. I'm not quite sure. I can't recall.
So you're counting one incident of sharing emails as multiple occasions that he shared videos?
I don't recall. I have to look at it again.
Did you ever claim that Chief Swanson shared these videos for gossip or because he found them amusing and thought his husband would too?
My recollection of the emails, the tenor of those emails was not for legal advice. It seemed more just to be sharing to share.
That wasn't my question. Did you ever claim that Chief Swanson shared videos for gossip or because he found them amusing and thought his husband would too? Is that something you've ever claimed?
I don't recall if I said those words or not.
Okay. Have you ever heard anyone claim that?
I don't know if that was defined in the facts of the trustees or not.
You don't have any evidence, do you, to contradict Chief Swanson's explanation that he was sharing those videos for legal consultation with his husband, right?
I think my evidence is that there is no formal agreement between the village and his spouse as an attorney.
And you're aware that those videos were, in fact, matters of public record, correct?
Not at the time of an ongoing investigation, they wouldn't have been.
Pardon me?
If it was an ongoing investigation, they wouldn't have been public.
You have released those videos in response to a public records request, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know who filed the request?
And are you claiming that you have some special knowledge or information about when the investigation was ongoing and when it wasn't?
No, but I believe it's policy not to share documents that are on an ongoing investigation because it could corrupt the case.
You made that conclusion as someone who is not a police officer, correct?
I am not a police officer, correct?
And you took it upon yourself to conclude that Chief Swanson violated some police policy at that point when he sought legal consultation, correct?
When he sent an email to his spouse with the information, yes.
No police officer has ever told you that.
I don't know if a police officer needs to tell me it's wrong to share information with your spouse.
I'm just asking you, no police officer has ever told you that Chief Swanson violated any policy by sharing that video with his spouse for legal consultation.
Again, I would argue with the legal consultation part of it, but no.
Okay. Mr. Burgess certainly did not come to any conclusion that he told you that there was a policy violation by that action, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you've seen Chief Blish's affidavit regarding video sharing that he says, to my belief and knowledge, sharing information of this nature for legal consultation does not violate any Woodstock Police Department policy or provision. Do you disagree with Chief Blish?
I do.
So you believe you have more superior knowledge than the former chief of police regarding the violation of Woodstock Police Department policy?
What I believe is if our police department is sharing information with the spouse of an employee, that advice may be what's best for the employee, not what's best for the department, and that's to me very worrying. If there's no formal agreement between the village and an attorney, then that sharing document is not confidential and does not fall under attorney-client privilege. And third, it seems we have a history of police department sharing potential confidential information and/or information on investigation to just a resident of Woodstock. And to me, that's all very worrying.
Thank you for sharing your opinion, but my question was that you believe your opinion is more valid than that of Chief Blish.
In this scenario, yes.
Okay. And you never claimed that Chief Swanson entered the police department as a ruse to distribute the VCJC letter on 220, did you?
No, but I know his husband entered town hall around the same time as Joe Swanson
I'm not asking you
and put
about
a
his
letter
husband.
up in town hall, the same thing
That
Joe
wasn't
Swanson
my
did.
question,
So to
Manager
me,
Duffy.
it
The witness
seems,
is answering your question.
He's not answering the question.
If you don't like the question, that's
No, that's not the
he's still
rule.
answering the question.
He's not.
I'm going to allow him to answer the question.
Well, I would appreciate it if he'd answer the question. Can I restate my question, and then you can decide if he's answering it?
Have you finished answering the question?
I have not.
Would you please continue?
It is my understanding that around the same time, Joe Swanson and his spouse, Joe Swanson entered the police department, his spouse entered town hall. They both took the letter from JCA and posted it somewhere up in those two public buildings at around the same time. So to me, that's a concerted effort that they worked together to do that.
Okay, my question was, did you ever claim that Chief Swanson entered the police department as a ruse to distribute the letter?
I think I just answered that.
Did you ever claim it was a ruse?
Did I use the word ruse?
Yes.
No, I did not.
Okay. And you're aware that an email was sent on Tuesday, February 18th, 2025, requesting permission for Chief Swanson to enter, correct?
Yes, and I believe that email was never responded to.
Pardon me?
And I believe that email was never responded to.
Are you in the habit of not responding to emails for
That
48
email
hours?
wasn't, that email wasn't sent to me.
Pardon me?
That email was sent to Matt Bloomer, I believe,
So,
right?
yes, I think you're right.
Yeah.
So you're saying that you never received a copy of that email?
I don't recall. I remember never giving permission for Joe to enter the police department that day.
Or did you receive the email and fail to respond to it?
Object, I don't know, but this could tread on the attorney-client privilege if it was a communication. If it went to his counsel at the time, it necessarily is getting into something privileged. Again, I don't know, it wasn't me, so.
Yep. I mean, I think if it gets to the ultimate question of did he get it from counsel, he can answer that.
Yeah.
In terms of the content, then I don't think that's allowed.
All I'm asking is, did he see the letter?
I've seen the email, yes.
Did you see it at the time?
I do not remember. I don't believe so.
So you think you may never have responded to the email about the two, that was on February 18th? You just failed to respond to it at all?
I just said I don't know if I got it or not.
Okay, so you don't know if you got it, and you don't know if you responded, obviously.
Well, yeah, I couldn't respond if I didn't get it.
Okay. And you have no reason to believe that Chief Swanson knew about or received the VCJC letter clearing him of any unprofessional conduct until February 20th, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You yourself had received the VCJC letter days earlier, correct?
I believe so.
You didn't share that with Chief Swanson.
No.
You didn't share it with any of your employees.
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. Okay. Now, when complaints were brought up by employees against Chief Swanson, that led you to conduct the secret investigation by Mr. Burgess, correct?
Can I object to the characterization? It seems facts, not in evidence.
Is there a way to rephrase that question?
Yeah, I don't think there was any dispute. I can rephrase it. You heard complaints about Chief Swanson, allegedly, from different employees, and that led you to conduct an investigation that you never shared for weeks or months with Chief Swanson, right?
I believe that's incorrect. I believe in a meeting we had with his counsel and my counsel, or maybe, sorry, that might be with Chief Green. We told Joe Swanson that he was staying admin leave, that complaints had come up, and we were gonna investigate those complaints.
You never told him what those complaints were, did you?
At the time, no.
Okay. And that wasn't until November, correct, that you had that meeting?
Yes, it was after the state police concluded the investigation.
And you had already hired Mr. Burgess by that point, right?
I had.
Okay. And you didn't actually tell Chief Swanson what the content of these allegations against him was until several weeks later, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And that was because we wanted a private third-party person to go through them and not just me.
The complaints have been brought up against you by employees, right?
Yes.
And has that led to any investigation of you?
I cannot speak to what my supervisors do or not do.
Well, you'd certainly be aware, wouldn't you, if there was any investigation into your conduct regarding those employees?
If they let me know about it, yes.
If who let you know about it?
The select board or trustees.
Okay. Some of the complaints, so you never got any counseling or discipline as a result of those complaints by employees, right?
No.
And you,
I said no to that. There may have been conversations with the chair of the boards or other board members that could be construed as counseling, but I don't recall.
As we sit here today, or you sit here today, you have no recollection of receiving any counseling or discipline from those issues?
There were numerous conversations with board members. I don't recall if a topic of one of these two employees came up and we talked about it, and if we did, what that conversation was about. So I don't want to say I didn't get counseling, but I don't want to say I got counseling. It wasn't an official counseling, I'll say that much.
You have no recollection of said counseling?
Correct.
Okay. And some of the complaints that were brought up with you, you would describe as pretty serious, right?
What complaints are you talking about?
All right, we'll look at Nikki Lavakis.
Hold on one second, where are you?
I am on Exhibit K. I mean, number 19. Yep, it's number 19. Number 19.
Thank you.
Okay. So in this instance, are you looking at that?
Yes.
Okay, so in this instance, Nikki Lavakis, she's a former employee, right?
Yes?
And actually, at least 4 of your employees left since you became manager, correct? Corey Frederick, Zoe Parent, Nikki Lavakis, Stephen Bauer?
Yeah.
Okay. And these were employees with several years on the job, not new hires who decided the job just wasn't right for them, right?
I just want to note my objection for the record. I understand your decision, Attorney Monahan, but I don't think this is relevant, so I'd like to maintain my objection, please.
Understood. And we'll give you some leeway because of the allegations of disparate treatment. And I'll reiterate, I don't think the manager is on trial here. This is a question about the employee who's taking the appeal. So, but the question's allowed.
I think Stephen Bauer had been there for less than a year when I started. Zoe Parent might have been there for a few years. Same with Nikki. I think Corey might have been there for 2 years.
Okay. And according to Nikki, your management style led employees to believe that you undermined a team-oriented environment and that you did not, let me see, a lack of appreciation among staff. That was one of the complaints, right?
Mm-hmm.
And according to Nikki, you then did something which felt like retaliation for her, which was that you denied her opportunities for hybrid work, promotions, or raises. That's a pretty serious allegation, right? You see that?
Yep, I can't respond without getting into personal issues about former employees, which I do not want to do.
You can't respond to whether that's a serious allegation? That was my only question.
I just want to note for the record that in order to rebut the allegations in this letter, we can't really do that because it's a confidential personnel matter outside the scope of the hearing today, and I'm not going to permit Mr. Duffy to give the full details of this employee, and so we're at a big disadvantage here because it's outside the scope of what he can appropriately testify about in his role as town manager. And, you know, this isn't a sworn statement, this isn't an affidavit, this isn't a declaration, this is just a random email, and I just don't think it's relevant.
When you asked the question about serious allegations.
All I asked was, I didn't ask him to go into any detail, just whether he considered these serious allegations against him.
And it was against him, so
Yeah.
I think that's allowable, so if you can answer that question, please do.
I think if any employee feels that way, it's something to take seriously.
And do you believe that, well, she also said your treatment had been disheartening and unprofessional, correct?
She said that, yes?
And do you believe that you should have been terminated because of these complaints?
No?
And if we go to the end, we also have an exit interview by Corey Frederick. I think it's the very last one. Okay. And this is a different employee, right? This is a second one.
Yeah, I believe it was Nikki's maid of honor in her wedding.
All right, but it's Corey Frederick, and she's saying, according to this, that you do not care or appreciate your staff. Care for or appreciate your staff. See that?
I do.
Do you consider that a serious allegation?
Again, if any employee says that about the supervisor, I would take that seriously.
Okay. Did you take any action to rectify any of these issues?
Well, this is an exit survey, so it was after the fact, but I had conversations with both these employees and tried to rectify it, yes.
And they both quit, so it didn't get rectified, right?
According to them, yes.
And in fact, according to Corey, she says that you created a very toxic environment under number 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
That's what she said, yes.
And low morale is also in here, correct?
Correct?
Okay. You never received any negative feedback or discipline as a result of Corey's complaints, correct?
No.
No, it's not correct, or yes, it is correct?
No, I never got any.
Okay. And do you think you should be terminated because of what Corey has alleged about you?
No.
And to your knowledge, your bosses, the trustees, never conducted any investigations into either Corey or Nikki's complaints, correct?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay. Another allegation was exceptionally poor management and mistreatment of staff by Corey. Do you recall that?
If it's in here, I will acknowledge that she wrote it.
Okay. So, one of the things you accused Chief Swanson was of not following up on obtaining evidence on one occasion, right?
Yes.
And you became aware from Chief Swanson when he was working as an unlawfully demoted police officer that Sergeant O'Keefe failed to make a preservation of evidence request in a minor sexual assault case, correct?
Joe Swanson sent me an email, yes.
So you became aware that that was an allegation against.
And what is that?
Okay, that is exhibit, hold on, let me find my index. It's exhibit G, but that corresponds to a number here, so let me find it for you. It's number 15. So you received an email indicating that Sergeant O'Keefe had failed to preserve evidence, right?
Correct.
And did you make an investigation into that?
I had a conversation with Chris O'Keefe about it, yes.
And did you give Sergeant O'Keefe any discipline for that?
No.
Okay. And there were also indications that in addition to failing to preserve evidence, that there was other mishandlings in terms of how an officer is supposed to handle a sexual assault, in terms of things like not having the parent in the room, for instance, for a minor. You saw that, right?
I saw it in the email, yes.
Okay. And did you make any investigation into that?
Yes, and I believe what Chris O'Keefe did was correct.
So you accepted whatever Sergeant O'Keefe told you about that and didn't inquire any further?
I'm sorry, who did you say? I missed that.
Sorry, Chris O'Keefe
Yeah, was correct or,
was correct in the way he handled that.
okay, I'm sorry.
So Sergeant O'Keefe told you it wasn't necessary to have a minor complainant alone? To interview a minor complainant alone in a sexual assault case? He told you that wasn't the protocol?
Yes.
And you accepted that at face value?
Yes.
And you didn't issue any kind of warnings or ask anyone else or ask for an investigation?
I did not do an investigation, no.
Okay. And you were aware that that was with a minor, correct? A minor child?
Yes.
Okay. And isn't it true that Sergeant O'Keefe is the only police officer at Woodstock Police Department who has extensive experience and training on conducting special investigations such as the one that Sergeant O'Keefe was involved in, involving a minor sexual assault?
At the time, potentially, we've hired a new officer who I believe has that training as well.
Well, I'm talking about at the time.
I believe so.
Okay. And yet, so you had this email from Sergeant O'Keefe, who's the only officer trained in this approach, but yet you accepted Sergeant O'Keefe's explanation that everything was kosher?
Sorry, I think you mean Swanson first. You're saying O'Keefe twice.
I'm sorry, yes. You had the information that Chief Swanson was the only person at the time in the department who had extensive experience and training in conducting these special investigations. And yet, when you asked Sergeant O'Keefe about Chief Swanson's allegations, you accepted his word that that Chief Swanson was wrong?
I'm not saying Chief Swanson was wrong. I'm saying I accepted the process I went through was correct.
The process, I'm asking, did you accept that Sergeant O'Keefe's explanation for this was correct?
Yes.
Over what Chief Swanson alleged?
Yes.
Okay.
Counsel, what does it mean that this is a replica of an email?
It means that he doesn't have the initial email, but he had a draft that he had done that he believes this was the one that was sent, but he had no access to it. I'm not sure why, but he never had the original, I don't think. I don't know. It was in his sent email or something. I don't know what happened to it.
Okay, thank you.
But I know that we were not able to get the original for whatever reason.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, you yourself have been accused of ignoring a citizen's complaint and letter for over a year, right?
What exhibit?
L. That would be, I'm going to tell you in a minute. It would be number 21. That was about Kenneth Cooper, right?
Before
Yep.
you go on, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Mr. Duffy, did you receive Exhibit G, or something akin to that? It says you were CC'd on it.
Is that the letter from Swanson about the sexual assault case?
Yes.
Yes, I was CC'd on an email.
Okay, thank you.
And in fact, we know you received it, Mr. Duffy, because you actually allowed Sergeant O'Keefe to discipline Chief Swanson while he was a demoted police officer for copying you on this, correct?
Yes, I believe it was in subordination.
Because he claimed that Chief Swanson had somehow, by copying you, had somehow gone beyond the chain of command.
Correct.
And you proved that it was fine for him to discipline Chief Swanson for that.
Correct.
And yet you yourself had conducted an investigation into Chief Swanson and allowed his coworkers to come complain to you without ever discussing it with Chief Swanson first, right?
We were at a point where he was on admin leave and we're doing an investigation based on all the complaints that came forward.
Right, but I'm saying in terms of the chain of command, you allowed his subordinates to come to you without any protocol in terms of going to him first.
He was on admin leave, so they couldn't. And some had gone to him in the past to try to change his behavior, and he did not change that behavior. And I believe the union contract and the personnel policy says you go to your department head, and if they can resolve the issue, you can go move forward.
there was no particular policy, police policy, that Chief Swanson violated by copying you on this letter, was there?
I don't have it in front of me, but I think the union contract has a timeline that you're supposed to follow for grievances or issues.
So all those employees that came to you with complaints about Chief Swanson initially would all have been union employees?
Yes.
So they would have been subjected to the same union prohibitions against going above their immediate supervisor.
Swanson wasn't a member of the union. So this is not relevant.
We're not talking about his behavior, we're talking about the other employees that came to Mr. Duffy.
Overall, we're just talking about the actions that the manager did.
Chief Swanson was on admin leave. There was no opportunity for an officer to go complain. I think a lot of them felt they couldn't say anything while he was in the office. They came to me. There were serious concerns. So we opened an investigation and allowed them to be investigated what those concerns were and if they were valid or not.
So you found there was some exception to that union protocol that one should go directly to their supervisor in Chief Swanson's case?
There were serious concerns going forward, and these officers felt like they were not heard by the chief.
And when Chief Swanson copied you on this letter, he said that he was concerned that Sergeant O'Keefe was trying to pin a botched investigation on him. You didn't consider that a legitimate reason for notifying you, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Now we're back to your letter from Kenneth Cooper, a year before you responded. That's 20. You got that?
Yes.
Okay. So you received a letter from Mr. Cooper that you ignored for a year, is that correct?
No, I believed I had responded to it. It wasn't until he followed up a year later that I realized I had not. And so I responded to him and apologized for the misunderstanding and let him know that we had fixed the original issue that he had complained about.
He didn't find your year-late 3-line response satisfactory, did he?
According to his email, no.
In fact, he accused you of arrogance towards the rights of people with disabilities, right?
He might have said that, yes.
Okay. And you believe that you thought you had responded is a legitimate excuse for not responding?
No, I didn't say it was legitimate. I apologized to him.
So you believe that your apology should have been sufficient. You shouldn't be subjected to any kind of discipline or warning or anything like that because of not responding for a year?
I'm not saying that.
Do you think you should be disciplined?
I'm not saying that either. I'm saying I thought I responded. I didn't, and I apologize. I am not perfect. I made a mistake there, and I take responsibility for that mistake.
Okay, but you're holding Chief Swanson to a standard of perfection, correct? That he should always be responding to. In fact, you said in the first hearing that he hadn't responded to some type of public call that you had to respond to. So you were holding him to a totally different standard, right?
That scenario was vastly different. That was an accident, I believe, with a officer who was not full-time certified. Someone involved in the accident was calling the officer's cell phone repeatedly, wanted answers, and I believe Swanson would not respond to them, so I ended up calling the person and talking to them myself. Before I had Joe then call them as well.
And what is this in response to? Are you talking about?
I think I believe to what you referenced about me being upset for Joe not responding to someone.
No, I think I was talking about an issue with Jules or something that you said he hadn't responded appropriately or timely to a Jules situation.
Oh, that was the M&T Bank issue?
My only question is, let's get back on track here. So in terms of your own behavior, you think an apology should be completely fine for not responding?
Again, I did not say that. I said I made a mistake and I apologize. I take responsibility for that action.
And you don't believe that you should be held to any standard of perfection in terms of your response, and a year should not cause you to have any warnings or discipline about your behavior?
No one is perfect. People make mistakes. And that's what I believe.
Well, did you apply that same logic to the fact when you found out that Chief Swanson had completed one death investigation?
So, I'm hesitant to talk about personnel issues. There were many issues that, with Joe Swanson, that did not rise to the level of something serious or claimative that I did at times forgave him for, or did not acknowledge, or talk to him about to do better. Know that he was imperfect, as we all are. What we ended up using as evidence was a totality of evidence showing that he lacked leadership, able to lead a department, and that he could be trusted.
Yeah, that wasn't my question. My question is that the failure of Chief Swanson to complete a death certificate for a year, you believe we're just talking about that incident now, you believe that incident should subject him to discipline?
Again, the path we took with Joe Swanson was because all of these instances combined painted a picture of someone who could not be a leadership role.
Okay.
If just one of these of the many, many things we're talking about, if there's a one-off incident, yes, it would have been counseling, it would have been a verbal warning, it would have been a written warning. We're talking about binders full of evidence, all combined led me to that decision.
So he would have got a warning for not completing a death certificate. That's all that would have happened?
Potentially, I'm saying, if you're trying to pull all these apart and go one by one, I had to view this all as a collaborative effort about everything combined.
So you only found one failure to complete a report?
Yes.
Okay. And you're claiming that you only once failed to respond to an email for a year?
I am sure I've failed to respond to emails as well. I don't know if they've gone for a year. But I can guarantee you I've not responded to every single email that came through as much as I tried.
Okay, in fact, we have another exhibit under number 22, it's Exhibit N. This involved a complaint you received from Attorney Selden about a theft of some of his property that you were asked to investigate, correct?
I believe this might have went through the police department at first, but yes.
Right, but it looks like the complaint that Attorney Selden filed was on June 26, 2025, right?
Yes.
And you didn't get around to sending it to Chief Green until August 11th, 2025, right?
That's when I gave him the letter, yes.
So you're saying it's fine to wait several weeks to deal with a complaint?
I'm not saying it's fine. I'm saying there are priorities we have to focus on, and this got pushed a few weeks.
And the complaint was about Sergeant O'Keefe not addressing the complaint, correct? The original complaint?
Yes.
And it looks like Chief Green investigated Sergeant O'Keefe's failure to follow up on that complaint, right?
Yes.
And it looks like the conclusion that Fire Chief David Green came about this failure to follow up, and let's be clear, it meant that Sergeant O'Keefe had not followed up at all between June 11th and August 13th, 2025, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And did you give Sergeant O'Keefe any discipline or warnings as a result of failing to follow up with the complaint for a couple months?
We gave him counseling.
No written warning?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, no verbal warning?
I believe it was just counseling.
And according to this report by Fire Chief David Green, it looks like one of the things Sergeant O'Keefe said was that he had not received the memo you had sent some kind of memo out that outlined expectations for town of Woodstock employees. Do you know what that's about?
Yeah, so shortly after I started, I realized I had staff who did not respond to emails in a timely manner, would not respond to phone calls in a timely manner, and it created a sense of the government not working for them. So I put together a memo at one point outlining the way I wanted my staff to deal with the public, and one of them was to respond to emails and phone calls in a timely manner. I believe I said 24 hours. And we held on to that for a few months. And when we had some turnover in staff and we had more responsive and more public-facing positive staff members, we kind of relaxed that process and did not follow it as we did before.
So your memo had stated that things should be taken care of within 24 hours?
It was phone calls or emails was the guidelines.
Okay. And certainly, from June 26th to August 13th would not be consistent with whatever policy you wanted or whatever procedure you wanted in place, correct?
So two things. One, that policy, we stopped following that shortly after we got better staff in. And second, the rules on investigations, I believe, do not give a timeline on how quickly they need to be completed.
And one of what Sergeant O'Keefe said was he had not received this memo that you had sent about the policy around responding, right?
I do not believe he was an employee when we sent that out.
Sergeant O'Keefe, you don't think Sergeant O'Keefe was an employee when you sent that out?
Correct.
So this memo you're talking about was sent out,
I believe in the summer of 2023.
so somehow Sergeant O'Keefe had not received a memo that you had done in 2023, even though he had been there for 2 years by that point?
So again, I don't know if the memo was in practice anymore, but also it would have been his department head's responsibility to give him that memo.
And when he says, it sounds like he was excused because he didn't know what the memo said, that was one of the things that he was allowed to be excused from his behavior because he wasn't aware that you had sent out this memo about prompt
No, so again,
responses.
for the third time, that memo wasn't in effect at this point. The person who did this reverse complaint has talked about this memo numerous times to me. I've let them know that that memo is no longer in effect, but they still seem to bring it up whenever they have the chance to.
Well, I'm talking just about this investigation report right now in terms of what it said. So let's look at it together. On the second page, it said that a memo from Town Manager Eric Duffy outlines expectations for Town of Woodstock employees. Mr. O'Keefe had not received the memo, nor was it documented that this policy was discussed with police department employees at the time of issuance. So that excused somehow Mr. O'Keefe from knowing he should respond to a investigation sooner than several weeks?
So, again, if the police department employees were not acknowledged at the time, that would be the police chief's responsibility to do that. So if Sergeant O'Keefe was not told when he started, that would be an issue with the police chief not telling him the expectations going forward, as that's his department. But again, by this time, June of 2025, that memo was no longer being followed internally because it was no longer required.
And you said 2023 is this memo. You don't know if that was before or after Chief Swanson took over for Chief Blish?
Yes, again, I was not ready to speak to this because I didn't think this was pertinent to this hearing. My recollection is it was the summer of 2023, which would mean Joe Swanson was chief at the time. And I believe we did not hire Sergeant O'Keefe until October, November of that year.
Okay, but somehow the fact that he had not received notice was something that you took into account, obviously, in whether he should be disciplined.
That's something that David Green took into account when he did the investigation. I did not do the investigation to make sure it would be unbiased.
But when you got the results of this investigation, that was something you decided to make your conclusion that nothing other than informal counseling was going to be given to Sergeant O'Keefe.
Correct.
Okay, and actually, I think I misspoke. This was sent to you on June 26th. We don't know when it was actually sent to Sergeant O'Keefe. It looks like it looks like you were informed in June, correct?
I cannot speak to that. I do not know. I don't have my emails in front of me.
Okay.
I believe you're supposed to go through the police website to file official complaints, but I don't want to
Okay.
guarantee that.
Okay. And it didn't concern you at all that, under Sergeant O'Keefe, that citizen complaints were not being responded to for weeks?
It did. What I will say is that this person filed a complaint has, sent me over 140 emails in the last 16 months, has filed probably over 200 PRA requests, has cost the town or village over $30,000. And so I think whether it's right or wrong, when you get a complaint, sometimes you don't give it the attention you would someone else because you've dealt with them so often.
I'm going to move to strike that as non-responsive and outside of the scope of what was discussed.
They have submitted affidavits from Attorney Selden. We can't, this is clearly within the scope of rebutting the response to the context of this particular investigation, which concerns Attorney Selden in particular. I think that context is absolutely relevant to responding to Attorney Fress's question.
Motion denied.
So you're claiming that somehow because, first of all, we're talking about complaints to the police here, not requests or emails to you. We're talking about complaints to the police. You're not claiming that Attorney Selden made hundreds of complaints to Sergeant O'Keefe, are you?
No, I said to me.
Okay, but we're talking about Sergeant O'Keefe's behavior.
But I thought you said earlier that the complaint went to me originally.
Maybe I misspoke. The complaint came to you, but it was originally filed with Sergeant O'Keefe. That's why Sergeant O'Keefe was being
Okay.
investigated, right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about Sergeant O'Keefe's behavior, and you're not claiming that he's somehow justified in not responding for weeks because somehow Attorney Selden had been filing massive amounts of complaints with him, are you?
No, but he's filed PR requests with the police department too. I don't have the number on that, but it's significant.
So if a citizen files more than a couple of complaints, somehow that's a reason to disregard the complaint and wait for weeks?
No, what I said is people are not perfect, but I think there is a frustration level people feel at some point, and so you give some things less priority than you normally would. And that's not right, it's just how some people are, how humans are.
All right, we've got another one here. Let me find it. I will find the right number before I say anything. All right, this is number 14, Exhibit F. This is a citizen email. This was to the Woodstock Police by Mr. Boardman. It looks like he made an initial inquiry on January 11th, and by February 23rd, he was still asking why he had had a response.
I'm sorry, what exhibit is this?
It's under number 14. It's Exhibit F.
Thank you.
Do you see that?
I do?
Okay. So, is it your testimony that somehow there was some kind of excuse or just that nobody's perfect and that's why he didn't get a response for several weeks?
So, again, this goes to the police town of Woodstock email, not a specific officer. I think a few people checked this. With that said, there should have been a response to him saying, let me back up. His original request is information on a serious and ongoing investigation. So if that's information, he should not be provided. With that said, he should have got that response immediately. And that is a fault of ours.
And was anyone disciplined or given any kind of warnings or?
This is the first I'm hearing about it since I saw it in your stuff Friday afternoon, I believe.
So you weren't aware of what was going on in the police department about how long it was taking them to respond to these messages?
No, but I will say I reached out to Bill Boardman a few weeks ago and asked him to talk to me, and he refused. He did not respond to me, and this would have an opportunity for him to bring this up to me.
Well, this date is February 23rd, when he still hasn't received a response. Are you telling us that since February 23rd, you somehow reached out to him?
I reached out to him sometime in the last month. I never got a response from him.
And why did you reach out to him if you had never seen this email?
He had been posting things on the Woodstock listserv about me, and so I reached out to offer to talk to him about any concerns he had.
So you weren't responding or reaching out to him about this request?
No, because again, I was unaware of it. But what I'm saying is he had the opportunity at that point to tell me I'm not getting a response from the police, and I would have been happy to get him something.
Okay. You testified that you were concerned about Chief Swanson's actions causing disrepute to the police department in the town, correct?
Yes.
And one of your duties, one of parts of your job, is to protect the reputation of Woodstock, correct?
Yes.
And employees and elected officials are considered representatives of the town and village, correct?
Yes.
Employees and elected officials are expected to conduct themselves in a respectful manner in all their interactions with the public, right?
We try, yes.
And yet you had no problem, and you considered it free speech for Trustee Blakeman to give a finger to Chief Swanson's husband, right?
Still do not see the relevance of this. Those were my words, not Mr. Duffy's. And I fail to see the relevance of that specific incident. The details of it they're not relevant to Mr. Swanson's employment.
I will ask, how is it relevant to Mr. Swanson's appeal when that alleged incident occurred at least after the 3 Loudermill letters that were sent to him, and also after the initial hearing in this matter?
Because again, I've laid the foundation in terms of what Manager Duffy believes is his responsibility and what he believes should be the appropriate behavior, and it's disparate treatment and it's bias.
He doesn't supervise Trustee Blakeman. Trustee Blakeman is also not on trial today. We're just so far outside the scope of what this hearing should be about, which is Mr. Swanson's, the evidence Mr. Duffy has on which to base his discipline and that decision as evaluated by the trustees.
I will sustain the objection because she is not an employee, she is an elected official. And the evidence is about the employee or even employees potentially.
However, Manager Duffy obviously has the ability to discuss issues with the trustees, with his bosses. He has the ability to indicate if he has a problem with their behavior, and he has an ability to, in fact, and I'd like to make an offer of proof if I can, just for the record, if you're going to sustain it, that after hearing about Trustee Blakeman's behavior, Manager Duffy gave her a 5-star review for her salon. After he learned that Trustee Blakeman had provided a haircut for Sergeant O'Keefe. So clearly he inserted himself into the situation, and I think that makes it relevant.
Actually, I get my haircuts there occasionally, and she does a great job, so I thought she deserved 5 stars.
Okay, I'd like to take a break.
Okay. Okay.